Welcome back, guys. So we saw the game between Nigeria versus South Africa yesterday, and it was a game that was filled with thrills and excitement. It did not disappoint, even for one bit. But I thought that we should have won that match by a narrow victory, by 2 goals to 1, because we had a clear penalty that was not given at all. Dele-Bashiru obviously being bulldozed in the penalty box. This incident happened in the 53rd minute of the game, and the referee wasn't having it. He wasn't even going to look at it. He was completely indifferent to what happened, what was a clear penalty. The South African defender obviously missing his targets on the ball and then clattering into Dele-Bashiru. But the referee's attention was eventually caught when he realized that Dele-Bashiru was still lying there for a couple of minutes after the challenge, and it was indeed a very big bruise that he had on his thigh. But again, it was impossible because there was no screen for the referee to look into. Again, this just goes down as one of the things that FIFA needs to look into, if they want to really improve this qualifiers round. Of course, it's very important. Qualifiers are very, very important because it's what determines the countries that are going to be representing in the FIFA finals, so it should be given all the help that I could get. So, the latest technology in terms of referee, in terms of VAR, and exactly what's needed for games to be authentic, perfect, and correct, so that when you actually win a match, you know that you deserve to win that match, and not just because of the fact that there's a lack of technology to actually know the actual thing that happened. I'm not here to talk about the penalty that we didn't get or how badly that we played. In fact, I'm here to give the boys some kudos because they obviously tried. If you checked what really happened, before the game and what they actually went through in terms of transportation, being stuck up, and not even having enough time to train together, you'd realize that these guys obviously tried very much for that game, especially in the second half. We saw that the Super Eagles that we used to know began clicking in the second half. The first half was very shambolic. We didn't really play, much. I thought we were just trying to get the rhythm, trying to really understand ourselves. But in the second half, it showed, the improvement in that game showed from the start of the second half. And that's the reason why we got our goal in the 46th minute. Immediately the second half was started. What a beautiful low scorcher goal by Dele-Bashiru, the young man who obviously made his debut yesterday. We've now found our new number 10. This guy is so talented. This is exactly why I actually put him in my lineup, in my predicted lineup. I knew this guy is someone that has all this quality, and what a debut was for him, making his first debut, actually getting the equalizer, scoring scoring in his debut, and then he was unlucky to obviously not get that penalty that I talked about. That was a clear penalty. In the Champions League final, it's a clear penalty. In World Cup, tournaments, it's a penalty. In the EPL, there is nowhere, that foul is not a penalty. But he gets injured in what could have been a penalty. It wasn't given, and then that tackle obviously took him out. And right now, more updates will be coming out later from Coach Finidi about the severity of his injury. I'm sure that this injury is something that it's not really easy to shake off. If not, he would have shaken it off and maybe returned back, on the pitch. Still waiting for Coach Finidi to talk about it and, the severity of it. And one man, again, that has injury issues is the likes of Semi Ajayi. And Finidi in this pre-match conference actually hinted that he was the one that told him that he couldn't continue. That was why he was substituted. And then indeed he had to go and play that position. But Coach Finidi finally kickstarts his role as the head coach of Nigeria Super Eagles officially yesterday with that game, and I can't say that it was a bad game for him, although it's not the dream start that anyone would expect because we didn't get all the points from that one. But we know that South Africa was always going to be a very difficult opponent, especially when they play Nigeria, and especially also when they play in that Uyo stadium. It seems that these people have the keys to unlocking or getting results out of Nigerian Super Eagles whenever they come to play in Uyo. And it showed again yesterday. We're even threatening to win the match, but it was not meant to be. Again, Coach Finidi, had a press conference after that game, and he was livid. He was angry with a number of things that happened during the game. First with the fans and then with the officiating team. Coach Finidi talks about the fact that he was very angry with the way the Nigerian fans, obviously, from the stands, were chanting at him that he should change this guy, put this one, remove this one. Yafa wanted the fans to allow he and his crew to do their job and not them intruding, with their own ideas and all of that. Finidi mentioned that it's easier for you to see what needs to fix when you're looking from the stand, from high up in the stand. He compared it to playing a draft or a chess game. That when you're actually playing, you cannot see the moves that you're supposed to make, but when you're watching from afar, you would see all the moves that you are supposed to make. Finidi goes on to give the reason why he did not introduce Boniface into the game. Of course, it's one of the hottest topics from fans. Fans, Nigerians wanted to know why Boniface did not play. The man that actually, won the league unbeaten for Bayern Leverkusen, and yet he was sitting in the bench and not introduced. So Finidi, clarified on that after the game, and he said that it was actually the plan that Boniface was meant to enter from the start of the game. But then when Semi Ajayi complained about having injury and they had to change him, that was when the plan, of putting Boniface changed. And instead, he brought in Onyedika and then Murphy. And they had to go and cover for Semi Ajayi in the back line, Onyedika replacing in the midfield, and then Paul Onwatru coming out for Murphy. Gaffer maintains that this is not an issue at all, and that Boniface will always be an important player of the team and is definitely going to have his chance. He mentioned that we have a game, in the next 3 days. Next 2 days, if he's fit and he's ready for that game, he is definitely going to get his time. And my player ratings, I'd like to think that overall Nigerian Super Eagles players were decent in this game, despite us not getting all the 3 points. We still have hope. It's not like all hope is lost. We have 3 points, and then the top spot is still very much open with 5 points. So our next game, if we win our next game, which is against Benin, they are not an easy side, and especially because of the fact that they are being coached by our former coach, who's Jonathan. So he knows 1 or 2 about Nigerian Super Eagles secrets, which he would want to use against us. So it's going to be very difficult. But anytime indeed, Nigeria is still the bigger country, bigger team for that one. And we are now under increased pressure to obviously get a victory for these qualifiers. We've not won any game since. This is our 3rd game, all of them being draw games. So this is definitely a reason to get one for our next game. But our players played really well, standing well, but obviously top notch as always. Had some really nice one-on-one saves, had some reactions in that back line that helped us really well. Denimu, Bright, and Semi, I thought were decent. They need to improve. They actually improved in the second half, but they need to be consistent. And then the likes of Bassi was rock solid. I think he was the only man that I was seeing in that defense when others had overlapped. For our midfield, I would give it, I would give kudos to Ndidi. He was rock solid. He did his best. And the likes of Iwobi was exceptional. We saw how he had that freedom to actually operate, in the front, and brought that assist for Dele-Bashiru. And then Dele-Bashiru, of course, he is my player of the match, personally for that game. It's just so sad that he had to go out in the 50-something minutes of that game. We would have won that match if he was still playing, till 90 minutes. But, it happened how it happened, and then we have to move on. And then for my attacking areas, Paul Onwatru, of course, tried his best, but he's still lacking because we've not had that midfielder that can feed the attack, but it's someone that still has potential. But, for next game, I definitely will not go with Paul Onwatru. I would like Terry Murphy to start because we saw what he did coming in from, coming in as a sub. He looks very promising, and he looks like someone that can pose more threat than Onwatru. And then the likes of Iheanacho, not really impressive. It feels like he's still trying to get back into fitness. Samuel Chukwueze, for the first time in Nigerian Super Eagles shirt, he really, really impressed me. He hit the post. He did some really good dribbles from that flank that caused troubles to South Africa. And I thought he had a really great game. And then the likes of Lukman. And then Lukman, I don't know what's happening with Lukman. Maybe he's still under the euphoria of the Europa League that he won, but the man wasn't at his best yesterday. I know he knows that he is not at his. He didn't really give us what we wanted, but he's definitely someone that can step up anytime I needed to win the game for us. That's the update, guys. Let me know what you think about this game that we played. Of course, we're going out to play Benin in the next 2 days, and then preparation is heading towards that one. Recovery session is definitely going on today, and then the guys who hope to be grouped to train. The injury guys who I'm definitely going to let you know about the latest concerning them. That's the update, guys. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and share the video. React to any of the stories that you like. Take care of yourself. Stay tuned to the channel.